There are two kinds of students in this world. On one side, we have student A, studying for 6 hours straight, fueled by their third cup of coffee, frantically highlighting notes, rereading textbooks, and flipping through flashcards all night. Exhausted, stressed, and feeling like they've done everything, yet still not confident. Then there's student B, calm, collected, effective. Their 2-hour study session is laser-focused. They know exactly what to review, how to review it, and they barely waste time on pointless tasks like highlighting every other word or rereading entire chapters. When exam day arrives, we all know who gets the better grade. And it's not because they're smarter, it's because they studied smarter. This video is all about helping you transform into student B. I'm going to show you how to study less, stress less, and score higher. Let's get into it. Tip 1. Disconnect from time. Focus on strategy. The first thing you need to do is disconnect yourself from the number of hours you study. Many students obsess over how much time they spend instead of how they spend that time. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, if I study for 5 hours, I'll definitely learn more than someone who studies for 2. But here's the truth. Time doesn't guarantee results. Your method does. Imagine this. You study for 5 hours. But what are you doing in that time? Are you just rereading notes and highlighting everything that looks remotely important? Or are you actively quizzing yourself, pretending to teach someone else, and targeting your weakest areas first? The difference in results is massive. It's not about how long you study. It's about what you do during that study session. Focus on strategies that work, not just clocking in hours. Tip 2. Read backwards. If you've ever crammed for an exam, you know how tempting it is to pull out your textbook and dive straight into the chapter. But here's the problem. Most chapters are huge, and let's be real. You probably don't have enough time to read everything in one night. Here's a better way. Start at the end of the chapter. Look at the summaries, key points, and review questions first. These sections distill the most important information you need to know. Once you've absorbed those, do what I call a first pass. The first pass isn't about reading word for word. Instead, skim through headings, charts, bolded terms, and colorful boxes to get a big picture understanding of the chapter. If you have more time, move on to a second pass. This time, read the first and last paragraphs of each section and skim the middle for supporting details. By now, you'll have a decent grasp of the chapter without wasting hours. Only if you still have time and energy should you dive into a full, detailed read. Tip 3. Batch your tasks. Let's talk about something that drains your productivity. Context switching. Every task you do, reading, writing, solving problems, requires a different mindset. Switching between these tasks takes time and mental energy, something I call the transition cost. For example, if you're solving calculus problems for an hour and then switch to writing an essay, it might take you 10 to 15 minutes just to adjust to the new task. Multiply that by every switch, and you've wasted a lot of time. The solution? Batching. Group similar tasks together and tackle them one at a time. For instance, work on math and science problems in one block. Then, move on to writing essays or reading assignments in another block. This minimizes transitions and keeps your brain in the right zone. Oh, and here's a bonus tip. Start with the easiest task in each batch. It's much easier to build momentum when you ease into a new mental state with something manageable. Tip 4. Set constraints. Ever heard of Parkinson's Law? It states that work expands to fill the time available for its completion. In simple terms, the more time you give yourself to finish a task, the longer it'll take. If you have 3 days to write an essay, you'll probably take the full 3 days. But if you give yourself 3 hours, you might surprise yourself with how fast you can work. This doesn't mean rushing. It means setting reasonable limits. Before you start a task, estimate how long it should take. Then reduce that time by 10 to 20%. Use a timer to hold yourself accountable. By setting constraints, you eliminate the mental comfort of "I have all the time in the world," which forces you to focus and work efficiently. Tip 5. Leverage technology. In this digital age, you have tools at your disposal that can cut study time in half. For example, apps like Grammarly can help you brainstorm ideas, draft outlines, and refine your writing. If you're stuck on a topic, consider using AI tools to generate explanations or summarize information. Just make sure you use these tools as aids, not crutches. The goal is to complement your learning, not outsource it. Tip 6. Don't idle. We've all been there, staring at a problem we can't solve, refusing to move on because we're determined to figure it out. This stubbornness might feel productive, but it's often a waste of time. This ties into something called the sunk cost fallacy, where you keep investing time and effort into something just because you've already started, even when it's clear you're getting nowhere. Instead, move on. Tackle the questions you can answer first, and come back to the tough ones later. This not only saves time, but also builds confidence as you work through what you know. Tip 7. Start with mindless work. There are two types of tasks, fixed and variable. Fixed tasks, like making flashcards or finding images for a presentation, take a predictable amount of time. Variable tasks, like writing an essay or solving complex problems, tend to expand and eat up all your time. Here's the trick. Start with fixed tasks. Knock out the predictable stuff first. This creates a natural time constraint for your variable tasks, forcing you to focus and finish them faster. Tip 8. Tag your notes. Most students waste hours rereading notes they already understand. To avoid this, tag your notes during lectures. If there's a topic you're unsure about, mark it with a star or symbol. When it's time to review, focus on the tagged sections. This way, you spend more time on what you don't know and less time on what you already do. Tip 9. Use binaural beats. Along with this video, I've uploaded a 1.5 hour long binaural beat track specifically designed to help you focus while studying. The video is linked below in the description. Whenever you have a study session, play this track. Use headphones or earphones. Otherwise, the binaural beats won't work as intended. And keep the volume at 65 to 70% for the best effect. This will help you focus better and enter the flow state. And we all know what you're capable of when you're in the flow. Studying smarter isn't about working harder. It's about working strategically. Implement these tips, and you'll spend less time buried in books and more time acing your exams. Let me know in the comments which tip resonated with you the most. Until next time. Peace out, warriors.